Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. Yeah, the flags are a bit screwy there, that thing. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4 with Black Ice. Oh, of course, we're playing as Germany here. Now, I wanted to, before we really get into this episode, I wanted to take a look over here in the Far East. Japan is messing around a bit. Don't really know what they're doing. They've lost a good part of their Indochina, and their Siamese allies are barely holding on. That's maybe probably because they sort of inherited these territories down here and didn't have them well garrisoned quickly enough. That's a little problem with the AI there. And they have made terrible inroads into China. We have not been watching, at least enough to know, but they probably have done, I think, a few other landings and had them destroyed. Now, that's considering that China's expanded into this Soviet territory here. You got to come back to here is where the original sort of border is. They're expanded against the Soviet Union. They're holding in some of this territory here that, you know, they're right on the border of the capital. And they're also fighting up in Mongolia, China is, and seeing as how they're, you know, in Mongolia, which is, this is surprising me quite honestly, that the Soviet Union has not come over here and crushed them. So that they're able to do that as well as hold off Japan is surprising me. Now, that sort of made me want to go after the Soviet Union, because if they're, you know, bogged down and have troops all along here, no, I have not tag switched over to look because I don't want to cheat. We might be able to push into them, but you start, let's get to here, good, sort of counting of the divisions, 32, 68, 127, 11. Now, of course, if we bring in Romania and Hungary, we'll get, you know, 60 divisions, 42, 34. Some of these divisions over here would probably, you know, join the war, and then, of course, we have some various allies here, and we might even get some Italian divisions coming over here. With the new AI, Italy is doing much better holding its own. Maybe a little too good at guarding its coast, but especially seeing as how there's very little enemy. Now, yeah, they can launch attacks, but with the Navy, so I don't know. I've thought about going after Yugoslavia, but I just don't. Maybe one of you want to post, because I can just come in and crush it, but oh, looks like resource map here. What do we need Yugoslavia for? Yeah, I know the idea of world conquest and conquering it. Well, Germany initially got them as allies, and then when they sort of had an internal coup and switched sides, invaded, and there was the situation with Italy couldn't invade Greece worth anything. Now Greece, maybe we should take, because they have a lot of tungsten down here. That would be a worthy thing. So maybe we'll think about doing Greece. Yeah, I like that idea. So,
Alright.
okay, select all of Darian's army here. Let's send them down to Bulgaria.
Ausrücken!
And what else? We're forming. Well, let's send the two
Angetreten.
mountain divisions, because
Zuhören!
we're looking at... I'm just sort of worried that Italy's gonna, well, we'll let Italy deal with.
Achtung!
Well, let's temporarily at least stick all these under Guderian. He can handle them. And also send these down here.
Ausrücken!
Now I've just sort of decided doing this while on camera here. But okay, there's, you know, you can always chop up things in different categories, but there's sort of the direct approach and the indirect approach, and that goes back to Sun Tzu's philosophy of war. You should read Sun Tzu, and as well as some of the other commentaries, the other authors that expand on him. Very worth reading, even for war games. The direct approach is as it sort of seems to state, is to, you know, invade from here, land in Dover, and drive to London. The indirect approach is to, I don't know, say, cut the legs out from under them. In a simple sort of terms, it might be land in, you know, invade and land in Liverpool and drive to London, because presumably they've put all their defenses along this coast. That's sort of a simplistic way of looking at it, but part of the element. But the other is to what we're already doing here with Britain, is attacking Britain indirectly, hopefully cutting off factories that we're taking, cutting off resources, cutting off manpower, cutting off their allies, in every way trying to hurt them with taking as little damage as possible. A good indirect approach element to this is, of course, like submarine warfare. Instead of building a big, huge German high seas fleet, which of course Hitler and the German Navy, of course every navy of any size country, you know, I know, well, even for a while, the Netherlands had a big navy in the world. They were once a great naval power, even though they were relatively small. Every navy wants to be a great, big, huge high seas navy, no doubt. But so that's sort of taken as a given that that is a desire. And of course, if you can reasonably achieve that, that's the way to do it. But the other way is, of course, to bypass the great superpower fleet by, like, using subs and commerce raiders, and deal with them that way. That is a method. So we are having sort of the endless battle bugs that Black Ice sort of introduced, and may go away in the versions coming out, but because we can't keep this series going and to go to the new one, and I don't think feedback, of course, and there's two types of feedback. One, of course, what I really love is you posting comments. The other feedback is if viewership goes down. If people are more interested in trying to see, you know, having me restart, because I'm happily to as playing the game, restarting. I do that all the time and do it, but sort of want to achieve something with the series as opposed to 10th starting of gamers playing as Germany and Black Ice, you know, get this far and then, you know, the new version comes out and then just restart everything again. So hopefully we want to do longer. So and part of so I don't think, because I lost, as those of you who remember, the bulk of my fleet invading Norway here. Got the two old capital ships survived in that squadron, and the battle cruisers and one of the heavy cruisers survived. Maybe one of these other units, but basically these are new builds after it. So I don't have a fleet that I'm going to be able to, I think, control the seas enough to do an invasion. And currently my invasion tech is limited to 10 divisions. So even if I could get across here, maybe by flooding the zone with submarines or something, and I do have a bunch of those. Did I shift them? Or yeah, I may have shifted them. They may be going somewhere. These are a few that are still left there, but oh, they went to here. Got about 21 subs, mid-range attack subs. Here that I could flood the zone and I might be able to invade. I'm only going to be able to invade with 10 divisions until I take a port at a time. They can do that, and I don't know how well it's. I mean, they may be totally, hardly any troops there. They may be sending them everywhere else out, but I don't know. And I don't know whether we want to risk 10 divisions to find out. We might. I got these guys here. Is that so? What I'm looking at doing is, and not quite that I forgot. I didn't forget. I very much, where we should be here. Very much thought that I would be, just hadn't done. It was always, yeah, that's one of the things I want to do most assuredly, and got sidetracked to many other, in my opinion, worthy researches. Is that we're just now researching basic paratroopers, so we have no airborne alternative to swooping in and taking a port and then rushing divisions over to a port. So those are some of the reasons keeping us from invading, doing the direct approach, whether you can or whether it would win or not. So I'm going to continue, at least this is my current thought, and of course you guys can publish, some of you have good ideas, but publish ideas on things. So we're going to do the indirect approach, try to deny them Africa. I don't know if we're going to put in more resources. And so I'm thinking, yeah, Hitler invaded the Soviet Union, which of course was a big mistake. Let's see if we can end one war before starting another war. I'm sort of in a bit of a hopes that the Soviet Union won't decide to invade because it's already at war with China and not doing well. It's not doing badly. I mean, they're not at the gates of Moscow or anything, but they're not crushing China. And so that they're sort of a bit busy. And I am moving towards that because I am trying to do a coup here in Finland and whatever else, indirectly attack them that way. So we're pushing on there. I've even thought about trying to send some aid to China to have them fight that. I am a little worried that Japan's going to do something stupid and get America involved in all of this, but what can you do? So we're going to continue into Africa, continue here. We may be going into the British Raj, which is part of some element of my standard strategy. But I really would like to take out Britain before we head to the Soviet Union. And I've considered whether we want to try to invade Iran or something. So I don't know if we're going to easily make them our allies. And have an indirect approach to the Soviet Union by coming up through the south, while they stick, the great bulk of their army here, and we fight them here in a holding action and try to use motorized troops. Okay, that's just sort of gamers' talk on thoughts on where we're going to go from here. Now let's get to playing the episode, current moving forward. And okay, we have improving the airborne capacity, I'm started to produce some transports here, which are good and useful. Oh, and I've also added rockets to all of my divisions. I had more than enough, but I wanted to make sure I did have more than enough. And so now they all have a rocket battalion. They're in both offers. Okay, what else do we need? And I reduced, said I had more than enough to reduce those down. I'm just sort of seeing what we're... That's because they're all going out to the battalions, or yeah, to the divisions. Okay, some more tanks. So, let's see, we're going to... we still have some Panzer IIs in production. Do we not? Oh, here they are. Like I said, I thought we did. Just a little bonus there. Production up. And here we're going to declare war. Conquer. We're going to see if we can do that with one Panther division.
Ausrücken!
No, I want to go through the mountains. I want to capture the coast. Okay, yeah, you joined the great. Excuse me. Another basic pilot promoted. That's good. I sent some subs down here. They were getting there. Kaiser Wilhelm II. Kaiser Wilhelm, the last Kaiser of the German Empire, passed away today at age 82. Wilhelm fled into exile in the Netherlands. I don't know if they quite fled, but left. That's sort of like the Tsar Nicholas trying to flee. Now he was just more left. The conclusion of the Great War, after abdicating the throne and vowing never to return to Germany until the monarchy had been restored, he assumed the throne in 1888 upon the death of his grandfather Wilhelm I and his father Frederick III, who only reigned for 99 days. I didn't know that part. His eldest son and former crown prince Wilhelm, who commanded the Fifth Army during the Great War, is now the new head of the House of Hohenzollern. Hitler very much disliked the Habsburg monarchy, sort of because I think he disliked a lot of their views on empire, and he disliked the whole particularly the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but that it was, to use a modern term, too inclusive, and they were definitely that. The Habsburgs to this day are very pan-Europeanistic, as opposed to nationalistic. And you can look from their earliest days in Vienna and how they conducted themselves, very much so. They're pan-Europeanists. He had a more favorable view of the German Kaisers. Definitely, I don't think he ever really wanted them to return. But, and to this just sort of shows, after taking Austria, he confiscates at least all the property in Austria of Otto Habsburg, who at the time was living in France because he was in exile from because again of World War One, from Austria as well as Hungary, and so he was living abroad, but he still owned, well, we'll call it considerable property. I don't know that it was huge amounts, but it was considerable property, as well as bank accounts and any other assets that he had inside of Austria. He confiscated Otto's property, but maintained paying the basic living expenses of Wilhelm in exile in the Netherlands until his death. So he helped them out. Now, because we have the Azores here, we're able to set out and do some naval bombing. Not very effectively because we just don't have the range. Once we get condors, that'll be much better. But at least we're now trying to strike out into the Atlantic a bit more effectively. Now, how are we doing here? No, we're here.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Okay, well,
Angetreten.
we'll wait till they get better organized. There we're sort of facing a bit of a
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
supply, so we'll cut them off.
Ihre Befehle?
Now I want to get... we were given some more
Zuhören.
French units. Okay. Let's move them all to here.
Ausrücken.
And then we'll see about moving them to defend North Africa so I can free up. I sent these guys down here because I thought maybe we'd have more action. Initially I was worried about British attacks in here, but they haven't materialized, so let's try to move some garrison type troops down there. Mentioning that, do we have... no, we'll get some soon. Those panzers and semi-motorized infantry divisions will be much more useful other places. Where are my submarines? Are they going to make it? I don't know. Heinrich the Red Baron Hoffman shot down by pebbles. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, we've got these guys here. So, you go up and
Ausrücken.
occupy that bit of French territory just because they're not. And
Ausrücken. Bereit.
oh, good. The Italians actually rejoined our links up here. Good. Good for you. It's not that I'm surprised that it's the Italians, I'm surprised that the AI did something good. That's really much more of my surprise.
Achtung. Ihre Befehle?
You join, I know it makes from crossing the river, but at least it's from two directions. And more divisions. Okay, the extra research slot. Great. And I'm going to take Django's advice here. And at least until we get, well, I don't know, further. Don't know if it's there for sure, but further down, significantly further. We're going to keep that slot going for tactics. Now, his other advice, and I definitely think it's good, though I don't know if it's one we're going to take just yet, was to get one of these to be able to get bonuses for either medium tank research or heavy tanks. That's good advice. It doesn't mean that it's either I'm smart enough to take it, or I think it's the best advice. Because here we could add a couple of dockyards and well, we don't need the Navy experience. We're just racking that up. This is also part of those endless convoy battles that aren't killing anything, are just skyrocketing. Because normally I get nowhere near this Navy experience. So we really don't need the experience. So the dockyards could be good, or we could do the Z plan, which would help us research ships that we're not going to be building. At least not anytime soon. We're already at war with France, so that's Western knowledge. What is this supposed to do? I don't really know. Okay, we control the right things. Oh, we gain a research slot. Okay, 70 days, 14 days. Well, 14 days we can pay. We can do that without for that. I didn't know about that one. That one's that's maybe where we're gonna go. But well, let's see. Foreign SS recruitment, motorized. Well, Alliance of Spain. That's also very much on the cards, and I like that too. 112 days. That's sort of a long time. Nothing hugely long, but artillery expansion research slot for support artillery and doctrine bonuses. Now that would help with all of our others. Heavy fighter. I mean, there's a lot of good things to do here. Like I say, some of them, this one here, don't ever do this until they change days for completion, because 25. It's like a 89-day cost to research the things. At 25%, you're actually gonna waste more time in a combination between that and research like we're doing. So we're not gonna go do that right now. Okay, let's do that. That'll get us 10% manpower bonus, which helps everywhere. Whether we have lots more SS divisions or not, I don't know, but
Befehle!
okay.
Ausrücken!
There we go. We want to do that. Pushing on them there.
Befehle!
Don't worry, my submarines are going to get there. I haven't noticed though. I normally check most of these, and I'm like picking away at, you know, a destroyer at a time or something with my air power here, but I haven't noticed a fight in which it sunk a bunch, and there's another destroyer gone. Ooh, we've done a couple of these things here. So the British have been trying to come out into the English Channel here. 2 destroyers, 2 heavy cruisers, and we shot down 3 aircraft because we're flooding the zone with aircraft there. Battle. Okay, just, you know, messing with them there. So we're doing some good. This is sort of the indestructible Polish units.
Achtung!
Let's cut off the militia.
Ausrücken!
And take them to factories. Now Muscat probably is overpowered because of national focuses. Oh, well, we'll cut off, but we'll cut them off. We'll get Muscat, I think, before we lose our Yeah, 'cause see, they lost their organization. This is what the AI doesn't do well.
Zuhören.
Is it will
Ausrücken.
strategically redeploy and then lose its air. Okay. Well, how many airports? This is all the Arabian Peninsula, and I'll close this. Close this. I meant to close that. Nah. Okay, we're not doing as well as I hoped there.
Achtung! Ihre Befehle? Weiter! Weiter!
Okay, well, we're winning both those battles. I'll be happy if we can win and get to port, because that will keep us in supply. Oh, no, that will resupply them, unfortunately. Who is this with? Artillery DL grants to China. Yeah, okay, we'll help China out. Oh good, there we go, we won. And Oman has capitulated. Good, there we go, that's what we wanted to do. And now that we have this, let's get some aircraft down there. And some long-range aircraft down there. And as I thought, they are overpowered. Oh, go away. Keep landing on an airport? What am I doing? Oh. There we go, that's what I wanted to see. Yes, this is way overpowered, all these additional factories. Okay, so it's one state, so that's everything. So just, it is one state, so. Yeah, I mean, we'll use it, but like I said, overpowered. Okay, we're building two lines of convoys because I think I want some more. Those, and then let's do some mid-range subs. That's what I don't think we have anything in production at the moment. Okay. Mid-range. There we go. And now, well, let's see if we can expand any better resources now. Not really. Maybe we should do longer convoys to Japan now that we control enough of the route. I don't know, we'll see. So, how close are we to getting 13 days? Okay, 13, we're going to lose a few days of the factories because I want to move over to Condor production. Big time.
Zuhören!
Now we shouldn't ignore down here.
Achtung! Ausrücken! Angetreten! Ihre Befehle?
So we got cut off again.
Bereit!
Okay, so,
Ausrücken! Bereit!
let's go to Lagos.
Ihre Befehle?
Just because we're having so many problems, let's
Ausrücken!
send you to there.
Achtung!
Now that they are shattered, you guys made it down here. Good. How? Look at that. Okay, naval bombers. Here. Okay. Well, Do I want naval? No, I want to put this out at sea. There isn't going to be enough anything to fight fighter-wise. Back in the Middle East. Yeah, these guys are just too short range and I can't upgrade them.
Ihre Befehle!
Oh, who wants to join up? Oh, National of Spain, without having to get the national focus to do it. That's great. That is great. Yes, very good. Very, very good. So, they can now move their troops away from the border with Portugal, and me and Vichy France to better prepare for maybe war with Britain. And that, well,
Zuhören!
I think I'm going to want them to come into the war. Or I sort of don't want Portugal in, because even though we are pushing down here for South Africa, yeah, they're pretty strong. I don't know what those units, well, let's see what they look like. Okay, they're not bad if they're equipped. That's more overpowered. Well, maybe we do want Portugal in. I thought they would be overrun, because I thought there would be like a division here each. Just so that you know. And I know a few of you like to know how the game works versus reality. That's why I made the, seemed to be rather popular, the after action report for the Battle of France. Okay. Portugal. There's actually, I don't have the link for it right offhand, but a really good site that deals, a Portuguese man has put together over the years, dealing with Portugal during World War II. Both German influence into it, as well as British influence into Portugal and what they're doing. And he's done a really good job and put up a lot of, I have the link somewhere, a lot of photos of like the German ambassador at different events, sort of how I found it, searching for that, and well, a lot of stuff. So you will see it sometime in Third Reich events, and in sometime in for King and Country events, the British mod that will come out someday. A lot of interaction between events for Portugal, between the Axis and between Portugal and the Allies. Really good stuff there. But and he also wrote some book, I forget, not a major book, but one of the few in dealing with the subject. Portugal had a very small army. It I would be shocked if it was more than 10 divisions. I just don't have those. I'm not good with keeping figures in my head about some of these issues here. but it was relatively small. And at some point after the start of World War II, and I'm pretty sure it was after 1940, after the fall of France, because when they were, worrying, hey, the war may come here, what can we do? They did the Army did, or the War Department or whatever it was, did a quick study of Portuguese military capacity, and they determined that with their stocks of ammunition, and this is rifle ammunition, and probably rifle ammunition, they could, rifle machine gun ammunition, they could do longer than that. But this is sort of looking at artillery ammunition, I'm sure, because that's sort of the big expensive thing, as well as potentially bombs for aircraft, their limited air force, and that type of thing, and whatever. If they had any tanks, I don't know that they really did. They determined that if you were talking about sort of aggressive battle, whether offensive or defensive, but sort of a high level of battle, how long they could sustain their military force in combat to defend their nation. They determined it was 4 days. So whether it was if Spain invaded, or if Germany invaded, or if America invaded, which of course America did invade Portugal, if they during World War II, you may be surprised at that, but America did invade Portugal during World War II. They could defend their nation, not necessarily effectively as in stopping the enemy, but they could sustain combat for 4 days. And to the best of my knowledge, they got no better than that during World War II. So if we were playing a realistic situation here, Portugal has 4 days of battle, and then it's done. It's just over. Basically, all their artillery will go silent, and probably within a few days after that, all their rifles will go silent. That, and Portugal is out of the war in 4 days. So if we were really wanting to, this is how bad Hearts of Iron is. And I know I posted, hey, it's a good game, and it is. There's a lot of good stuff about it, but it just really is overpowering a lot of these countries. All those military factories should not be there. They probably got there via national focus. Don't know what their civilian economy is, but I don't think it should be that big. They have just notice they have filled all of their slots with military and civilian factories. They've been able to do that. That is super overpowered. Now back to where I said is they basically take the Azores. The U.S. Was sort of with Britain, but Britain didn't do it until the U.S. was in the war, because Britain couldn't afford. Britain and Portugal had a long, good diplomatic and other relationships, trade and otherwise. So didn't really want to piss off Portugal, but also if Britain invaded and Portugal didn't try to stop it, it would give an excuse for Germany to invade potentially, or whatever, as well as maybe pissing off the Portuguese enough that they would join the Germans. And if they didn't join the Germans, also, like, Spain did not have 200 divisions. What are these divisions like? Okay, 8 infantry battalions there. 4 artillery. No, they didn't have that. That's very unhistorical. Now that isn't necessarily Black Ice's fault. I want to put that down as it may be an element in some of this stuff, but mostly it's just Hearts of Iron. It's fault. But also, if you allow Britain to invade, and Germany looks like it's going to be the next great ruler of the world, and you don't do anything about it, you sort of look like you're now on the enemy's side. So Portugal might have felt that they needed to go to war with Britain. Now, once America got in, it was clear to everybody that somebody like Portugal couldn't stop them. And so basically the invasion of the Azores, and there may have been some diplomatic... oh, we lost a submarine, but out there the British fought us off. Okay. there may have been, you know, official diplomatic stuff, but basically America was, we're taking this so we can base anti-submarine operations here, and they sort of occupied and took the Azores. I do believe that there were 0 shots fired. This was not a, you know, even a storming the beaches like in Morocco here, with a, you know, an hour or 2 of combat or something and then giving up. Don't think they ever went into Madeira, but I think it was just the Azores that they took and occupied to do anti-submarine warfare. So a peaceful invasion, but it was sort of like, we're coming, and even if you shoot at us, you're not stopping us. So they didn't shoot. And of course, the Americans basically left the Portuguese alone to do whatever they wanted to do, you know, domestically, internally, civilian, citizen-wise. It just, we're going to set up some air bases and maybe naval facilities to hunt subs. And otherwise, you're free to do whatever you want to do. So it's one of those kind of things. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. Do appreciate that. And of course, I love hearing from you. So please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.